Better Man is a new musical biopic surrounding the life of Robbie Williams, his rise to fame, his fall from it, the story around his life, how he became this big superstar in the UK. However, Robbie Williams has always seen himself as less evolved than the rest of us, so he is portrayed in this movie by a CGI chimpanzee. Then there's this guy, John O. Davis. He's the one who plays Robbie Williams, but he also is doing motion capture for a chimpanzee. This was not a movie I had any intent on seeing, any interest in seeing. I mean, you guys know by now, I'm really not a big fan of musicals. I do like music biopics. I have said that here and there, but Robbie Williams is someone that I know nothing about. Like, honestly, you could tell me, like, list one Robbie Williams song and I wouldn't be able to tell you. And also seeing the trailer, the fact that he was going to be played by a CGI ape, I was like, this just sounds weird. This just sounds stupid. I think I'm good here. I'll sit this one out. And you know, it got a limited release in December, and now it's getting a wide release everywhere. And since it's got its wide release, people are really eating this movie up. Even some trusted sources of mine have really spoken this movie's praises, so I finally decided to bite, and I was like, all right, see what we got here. Now that I've seen Better Man, we have here what is probably, in my opinion, the best musical of 2024. And yep, that's right, I'm including Wicked. I went there. Come at me. I'm really honestly shocked how much I loved this movie. This movie was awesome. First of all, let's first touch on right now the elephant in the room. Well, I guess in this case, the chimp in the room. Robbie Williams being portrayed as a CGI chimpanzee. Okay. I thought the idea was going to be stupid. I didn't think it made any sense. I just thought it was going to feel really out of place and weird. But the movie did a really good job at still making him, even though he's a chimpanzee, feel very human, feel very much like a human character. He's just always seen himself as less evolved than the rest of humanity, and therefore he felt it was right if he showed us how he saw himself. In the movie, it's not like people act towards him differently or look at him differently. It's not like they look at him and they see a chimpanzee or something like that. The people in the movie, the people he's known in real life, they see him as he is, which is a human being. We just see him as a chimp. In a lot of ways, it kind of reminded me a little bit of how Family Guy sometimes treats Brian. Like, you know, Brian's a dog, but, you know, he walks, talks, and acts very human. So a lot of times you feel like the characters see him as human. Once I sort of made that little comparison in my head, I was able to roll with the chimp idea in the movie. But yeah, the story of Robbie Williams is one that I didn't know and is a little cliche with, you know, how he rises to stardom and, you know, fame gets to his head and, you know, he doesn't know how to handle himself and he falls victim to the things a lot of famous people fall victim to. Is that familiar? Yes. Is that cliche? Yes. We've seen that a million times over? Of course. But the reality is this. If you looked up the lives of pretty much every musician ever, they've probably run into something similar to what Robbie Williams dealt with. This is the life of being a rock star. But what did make it very fun for me is the fact that I didn't know anything about Robbie Williams going into this movie. It made his story a lot more intriguing to me. It got me more interested in where the story was going to go because I had no idea where things were going to go. And the dude had himself kind of a life. He had a very interesting upbringing. He had a very interesting rise into stardom. I mean, in a lot of ways, it kind of reminded me a little bit of what Justin Timberlake probably went through a little bit. You know, started off in this boy band, and I'm sure there were tensions, and people wanted to go solo, so he decided to go solo, and then he became this huge sensation. There were people he met along the way, people he thought was on his side, maybe weren't, that people he felt weren't on his side but really had his best interests always there. Fame makes you think a type of way, man. It can attract you to people you shouldn't be around and also can drive away the people that loved you before then. And through there, that's what I gotta say. This movie has a huge amount of heart. And there are moments in this movie, I'm not joking you guys, I was on the verge of tears. I mean, the loss he goes through, the things he has to sacrifice for fame, the things people in his life have to give up. There was one moment in particular, I literally had to go home after and be like, did this actually happen? And it did, and my heart broke. Like, the music industry is a really slimy place. I mean, they see you, they see money. They don't see a human being. And it becomes more and more clear by the end of it all. You kind of look at Robbie Williams and it's just like, geez, this guy really fell far. Not all of it is entirely his fault, but you look at him, it's just like, you're rooting for him to get himself right, get back to where he was at his level of success. And when it's not happening, you feel crushed. See, I gotta say, I'm glad this movie took the very emotional route, took the heavy route sometimes. But in addition to that, on the other side of the spectrum, the movie's also shockingly hilarious. I mean, the dialogue, the way people joke around with each other, I really like seeing British humor. There's just something about it. It's very crass, it's very vulgar, and I love it. This movie really did not hold back in that sense as well. The way Robbie Williams would talk with his bandmates or his family or friends, it's just like, I was dying. But also, this being a musical, how are the music numbers? How are the songs? Honestly, I thought the songs and the music numbers both crushed. For me to really get on board with musicals, I need to walk out of there and remember one song or one sequence. And there's one song in particular, not gonna lie, the second I drove home from the theater, I downloaded it into my car, I listened to it for most of the way, because it's just, the song was beautiful, it hit me a certain way, I loved it. Both the music numbers, they're very well choreographed, they flowed right with the movie, they didn't feel like they were out of place. I mean, it's a biopic, so it's supposed to be all very real, but when it kicks into the musical numbers, it doesn't feel like it just went into a weird direction. It all flowed very seamlessly with one another, and I appreciate that. And again, the fact that I know nothing about Robbie Williams, I got to experience pretty much all of these songs objectively. I just got to go in there and just enjoy it for the first time. And that's what made it fun. That's probably why I have even more of an enjoyment with this movie, because I knew nothing about this guy. So yeah, all in all, Better Man was fantastic. John O'Davis, I believe I've been pronouncing that right. I thought he did great as Robbie Williams. He definitely crushed it in the motion capture aspect of the chimpanzee. I thought Robbie Williams as a chimpanzee surprisingly worked. The movie's hilarious, it's tear-jerking, it's heartfelt, it's heartbreaking. It's a little bit of a familiar story about the rise and fall of someone who makes it in the music industry, and while it is familiar, it completely works and it's effective in that sense. I thought the songs were really good, the musical numbers were excellent. And yeah, honestly, speaking of movies that would have made my top 10 best list of 2024, this 100% would have made that list. I'm honestly bummed that this is another one that didn't get a wide release near me. Ugh. I'm gonna start making road trips to theaters in the country that play limited releases, because I'm tired of missing out on this shit. I want to experience them when they come out. That's a problem I'll delve into for next year, I suppose, once we get into awards season. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.